These students and protesters block an intersection in Belgrade for 15 minutes, in silence. Around them, drivers have gotten out of their cars. The protest is a tribute to the 15 victims killed at the Novi Sad railway station when a piece of the roof collapsed on November 1st. But it is also a cry against corruption and impunity, as the justice system seems unmotivated to find the people responsible for the tragedy.
The students are demanding that all the documentation related to the renovation of the entire train station, which collapsed on people, be made public. We believe that the citizens of Serbia, just like us, the students, have the right to know who's responsible for this accident.
The collapse of the several-ton canopy occurred just 4 months after long and costly renovations had been completed on the station. The accident immediately led to major protests. For the protesters, the collapse was proof that corruption is pervasive in public works contracts. Since then, students are taking a stand by occupying some 50 universities throughout Serbia, day and night.
We live like we're at home. It's become like a student dormitory. This is a classroom. We've transformed the rooms according to our needs. We didn't have a cafeteria before, but we created one.
In order to keep the protests going, the students rely entirely on public sympathy, and they receive generous donations and support on a daily basis.
One day we had a heating problem because work was being done. We asked for donations and everything came in. Electric heaters for everyone. We gave them to the other faculty that had the same problem. We're really grateful for these donations. And one day, in just 2 hours, everyone supported and helped us.
The authorities have changed their stance on the movement several times. Initially, the students were accused of being paid by foreign forces to destabilize Serbia. Then, they blamed them for preventing other students from being able to study. Finally, the tone softened, and students are now being encouraged to end the protest. No results so far. In many universities, the students have received support from their professors.
Today I came to collect a badge with a bloodied hand, which is the symbol of our resistance here among the students, as well as in all the universities in Serbia that have joined the movement.
During the university occupations, other protests continue. In many cities, people are still interrupting traffic, taking 15 minutes of silence to pay tribute to the victims. Protesters have been attacked. The assailants, identified through social media, are, according to the opposition, members of the ruling party, but they do not appear to be facing consequences. At the NGO Transparency Serbia, corruption is well documented. For this lawyer, the justice system rarely investigates cases of misconduct, especially if the alleged perpetrators are close to the government.
We're confronted with situations where the government directly violates anti-corruption rules. It calls them projects of national importance. So no minister, neither the Prime Minister nor the President, would be sanctioned, even if they signed a contract with a company without competition or a tender, even for a contract worth €1 billion.
After the Novi Sad tragedy, public awareness is spreading. Proglas, a group of Serbian intellectuals, holds a lively public discussion in the town of Vrbas in northern Serbia.
There's a lot of interest, but the local authorities refuse to lend us a large hall, of course. Orders from above.
Not a seat is left in the room. An economist, lawyer, educator, and student present their views on the current situation in the country.
Systemic corruption manifests itself like this. Contracts with the state are awarded to companies whose owners are close to the ruling power. Some of the funding from these state-funded projects is used to finance the ruling party and enrich members of the current government. Of course, these business owners become wealthy as long as they remain loyal to the authorities. The government avoids launching investigations against them.
This time, the students have decided to make their voices heard. They head to Radio Television Serbia, a national media outlet that always broadcasts the government's positions and rarely the views of its opponents. The students are asking that their protest movement, which has a national scope, be mentioned in the news broadcasts.
So far, we haven't appeared on TV. We expect, at the very least, for them to see us, hear us, see how many of us there are, and take our voice into account. We exist, we're here, we're not insignificant.
The national broadcaster did mention the student protests in their bulletin that evening and included some footage. Although the students were not interviewed, it's still a small victory that they appeared on an outlet with so much influence over public opinion. The students are determined to continue their fight until the truth about the Novi Sad tragedy comes to light.